Have you ever wondered if you can tell the difference between WP's premium cone valve forks versus just the air fork that comes stock on these KTM XCW bikes? I'm going to do a back-to-back riding test right now up and down this trail and answer this question once and for all. The last 4 or 5 times I've been out on this bike, I've been running the premium suspension, the cone valve forks, and the track shock on this bike. I've been riding this thing and I've been liking it more and more and more and more. And then 2 days ago, I went and rode my XCW, which has Explorer 48 forks and they're super soft. And I think this actually might be even softer in its valving. This is a demo set for Moto Experts in Spanish Fork, Utah. They let me borrow these, and today is gonna be one of the ultimate tests to tell me if it's actually worth it and if I'm gonna be able to get my money out of it with this setup. So I'm going to run this a couple times, and then I come back, throw the stock suspension on the bike right here, right now, run it, and then I will come back with some thoughts. Let's do it.
So this is run 1 with the cone valve forks. Grab another gear here. Gosh, the bike feels good through that. I was on my freaking electric bike on this trail just a few days ago, and I can't even tell you, like this bike is like a freaking rocket ship. Oh my gosh, that feels good. Oh geez, that's amazing. Now I have these clickers right in the middle. This was some valving that Kevin, the owner and head suspension tech over at Moto Experts, this was some valving that he got from WP and stuck in, oh yes, stuck in the bike for me. And I literally have, in all the times I've ridden it, I haven't even touched a freaking clicker. Oh my gosh, the fork is just floating over these rocks. Absorbing them and then coming right back down into contact. And there's several of them that I feel like I should feel like, oh, that's going to translate up into my wrists, hands and wrists, and then I don't feel it.
And now I'm back at the truck, and I've got the cone valve forks back in the box. We've got the AER XACT forks back on the bike. Use my jersey as a little tool roll here, and I got everything torqued up. Those air forks have 130 PSI in them, and they are ready to rock and roll back up the trail and see if we can see the difference.
I've got the air forks back on. I went with the same amount of air pressure that I've been running on these things the last couple of years. For me, this is 130 PSI. I know the manual says to run more, but for me, this is what works well. It's absorbing stuff quite, oh, I felt it there. Oh yes, I can feel it through those rocks. Jeez. Okay, that's something you can feel. The bike is still handling like a dream. Jeez, it's good. It's the sharp edges. Okay, I felt that shock a little bit more. Popping down through that. You can see I'm able to push with both forks. The rocks that have a sharp square edge to them, I'm feeling it more, I believe, on these forks. My feeling right now is that the cone valve fork is just able to absorb a little bit better and then rebound. And again, the clickers are in the standard config on both sets of forks. But it just feels like it's able to, the cone valve was able to reset itself a little bit more to where I felt like I had more front end traction, like a little bit more connected feel. To the trail.
Okay, wow. So just completed both of those runs. As you can see, now I've got the exact fork, the air fork back on the bike. This is the stock suspension. So the question is, can I tell the difference between those $3,500 cone valve forks, which were custom valved for me by moto experts, and it's a loaner set. I still have the track shock on here on the back of the bike, but this was just to see if I could tell the difference between the two forks. And here's what I will say. If you're just barely getting into this sport, this is your first bike or second bike, or it's your first couple of years, I really don't think that it's worth the extra money for you to spend, because let me just tell you, these exact forks, and I ran them at 130 PSI, which is a comfortable pressure for me with this valving. I've run these forks for a year and a half, and this is a comfortable valving, and I was able to go up through these whoops and through the rocks and through everything and be confident. Here's what I'm thinking though now. After having ridden the bike in several different areas and different terrains and like gnarly stuff and faster flowing stuff, and then through this rocky whoops, I actually think I am gonna buy a set of cone valve forks for my next 250XC, and here's why. There are just some actual things that cone valve fork does better than the air fork, and it's something that you tell over time, and especially then when you run a back-to-back test like this. The air fork does great in most of the situations, and you can run different air pressures and you can try different things, but that cone valve fork just reacts a little bit quicker and keeps the front wheel down on the ground, I feel like a fraction of a second sooner, puts the front wheel back on the ground a fraction of a second sooner. The other thing too is the cone valve fork, it is just a little bit plusher over the sharp, nasty edges. You feel on these stock forks, I was feeling a little bit more feedback through my hands and up into my wrist, which then translates up into your shoulders. And even though this was just, I don't even know, like an 8-minute run with each fork, you can feel that compound over time. And if you're gonna go on these 50, 60, 70, 80, 100-mile days, that stuff adds up. It adds up, it has a cumulative effect. And I could feel it in just this short amount of time, just when it's going back to back with the two different forks. So I've done a lot of different revalves in my life, and most of the time, you know, they're anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. And a lot of times I feel like I'm kind of splitting hairs, and I haven't really felt like I was always ready to just tell you guys, hey, go and do this. Go run and go get your fork revalved by this company or that company or whatever. What I've typically said is do a local company so that you can do a revisit and they can revalve it again for you on the second time. I'm probably going to buy a set of premium cone valve forks that I'm going to keep and run it through 3 different bikes. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put, you know, a $6,000 setup on every bike, but if you're going to put it through 2, 3, 4 different motorcycles, I think I might do that now. I think I might have just convinced myself that that is going to be worth it because of the small minimal gains that you get, just like that cumulative effect of not getting so much shock put up through my body. I'm getting older, I'm 41, not getting any younger, and I just felt like there's a noticeable difference where I'm not getting pounded as much. And you don't feel that nasty shock up through your hands on the cone valve fork on some of these sharper edges, and then felt like my front wheel got down a little faster, stayed more planted, gave me a little bit more confidence to push through the stuff. And there were just several times where I was like, dang, I should have felt more through that little section, through that rocky thing. I should have felt more, you know. I felt more feedback here on this fork on the exact fork than I did in the cone valves. I think I'm gonna go buy a set. What do you think of that? Hey, if you want to support these videos, the best way you can do it, one of the best ways, is to use my links to Rocky Mountain ATV. It's down in the video description, and it's also over on my website, dirtbikechannel.com. Once you click on my link for Rocky Mountain ATV, and they are literally the best in the business, anything they sell gives me a kickback, and that really, really helps to keep the channel alive and helps to keep projects like this coming and all the stuff that we're doing. So thank you so much for using those links, and until next time, leave a single track.